Part 20. My Retirement Life in Neon. Author, Wu Nangkuang Song. Chapter 191. She fell in love with someone, and then she tried to please him in every way. Then she thought the other person accepted it, and when she confessed her love, the other person said, "I treat you as a brother." Lin Zian really laughed after hearing this. She is a typical dog licker who cannot be a good person. "Why are you laughing? Is it easy for me?" Sakai Otanoi glared at her. Fortunately, she didn't laugh just now. She thought she was a fellow poor person. No, you misunderstood. I was not laughing at you, but at the person you fell in love with. Lin Zian really felt that that person was miserable. Not everyone wants to be a tank driver. What do you mean? Otono Sakai slapped the railing hard, making it tremble. Lin Zian felt the vibration coming from the railings, and couldn't help but sigh. Groove, secretly, this man's arms are not less than 1,000 caddies in strength. He is really the reincarnation of Dian Wei, who was a great general in ancient times. It's nothing. Lin Zian shook his head and couldn't afford to offend him, but you also have to consider what the other person thinks. Maybe he really treats you as a brother. Humph. I can finally see him clearly. He said he would be laughed at by others when he was with me, and he always regarded me as a brother. Sakai Otanoha snorted coldly and ravaged a pink envelope in his hand. You yourself know very well that this is fruitless. From Lin Zian's point of view, Sakai Otanoba obviously knew the outcome, but he had to fly into the flames. He said he likes anime. I watched a lot of anime and bought a lot of peripherals to cater to him. Every time he said which figure he liked, I would buy it for him. So why didn't he refuse when I gave him a figure? He said he didn't like the food in the dining hall. I got up at 5 o'clock every day to buy vegetables and make a lunch box for him. Then why didn't he refuse when I gave him a lunch box? He said that the house was too messy and I would take time out every week to help him clean it up. So why didn't he refuse at this time? But he refused in front of the whole class. As Sakai Otoha spoke, she leaned against the railing and cried. Lin Zian was speechless. He didn't know what to say to this kind of man. If he didn't like it, he could just refuse. He had to hang others up and give them a little hope, but when faced with a choice, he would just beat them to death. Promise me not to be a licker anymore. Lin Zian patted Sakai Otoi's back and suddenly felt that she was pitiful. Do you know what's the most ridiculous thing? Sakai Otoi looked at Lin Zian. His half-crying, half-laughing expression was even more heartbreaking. What? Lin Zian asked cooperatively. This Sakai Otoha took out the crumpled envelope in his hand. This is just an invitation to invite him to my birthday party. He rejected me without even knowing what was in it. Does that mean that person knows you like him? This is the only explanation for his behavior. It really happens to everyone. Ah, Sakai Otoi shouted towards the river, then raised his hand to throw the ball of paper into the river, but was caught by Lin Zian. You can't litter if you're not happy. If you have some quality, we can't be like him. Lin Zian opened her hand and took the paper ball. Give it to me first, and I will help you throw it away. Sakai Otoi did not resist and allowed Lin Zian to take the paper ball away. Then what are you doing here? Watching the scenery. Until now, Lin Zian still felt that she might want to jump into the river, so he had to find a way to get her away. None of your business. Sakai Otoi lay on the railing and looked at the river below. Don't say that. After all, we are brothers and sisters, and we are all losers. Lin Zian secretly opened the wad of paper and found that her birthday was today. Then the matter is even more serious. Neon people still take birthdays very seriously, and she made the problem clear here. Seeing that Otono Sakai ignored him, Lin Zian continued to test. You haven't been home for a long time. How do you know? Guess. Lin Zian secretly collected the paper in his hand and put it away. Oh. Well, since we meet by chance today, I'll treat you to a barbecue. I know there's a good barbecue nearby. What do you want to do? Sakai Otoi looked at him suspiciously. Why is this man so strange? Since we meet by fate, just treat it as eating with me. Lin Zian smiled playfully, not feeling embarrassed at all. Lin Zian's abnormal behavior made her very suspicious. She was still aware of her situation. No one would talk to her, let alone buy her something to eat. After thinking for a while, he finally laughed at himself and said, "Oh, so you are afraid that I will jump? Why should I be afraid of you jumping?" Lin Zian pretended to be surprised and said, "Didn't you bring a life preserver?" What? Sakai Otoi was stunned for a moment, not understanding what he meant. It wasn't until Lin Zian looked at her waist that she realized what she meant. Go to hell. Ha ha ha, I'm just kidding, don't be angry. Lin Zian didn't feel that he was seeking death at all, and continued, drowning is the most painful way to die. Why? Try holding your breath first and see if you can stop breathing before I finish speaking. Lin Zian continued to speak after seeing Otono Sakai holding his breath. To drown, you must first slowly feel the feeling of suffocation. The helplessness and huge fear of struggling in the water will magnify your pain several times, and it will be very painful until you die. What's more, after death, your body will first sink, then float, and then it will rise. At the end, it will explode with a boom, and countless fish will come to enjoy this feast. Finally, it will be at the bottom of the river. Shrimps, crabs, and other scavengers, and then you will turn into feces. Sakai Otoi could no longer hold her breath and continued to breathe. After listening to Lin Zian's words, she suddenly felt a little nauseous. How long did you hold on? I haven't finished speaking yet. Lin Zian continued, when you are struggling in the water, your oxygen consumption is not as easy as it is now. I'm not planning to jump into the river, you don't have to tell me this. Sakai Otoi said calmly. I'm sorry, what I just said about normal people does not apply to you. Lin Zian suppressed a smile and said, it will be fine if you jump. You will float. You won't die even if you float for a few days. You. Sakai Otoi was almost angry. She didn't know that Lin Zian was calling her fat. Is there such a comforting thing? How about it, let's go have a meal and then talk about it. Lin Zian smiled at her annoyed look. You will regret it, Sakai Otoi said through gritted teeth, wanting to tear Lin Zian into pieces and swallow him. She, Otoha Sakai, didn't get her figure from drinking water. How much money can he have as a student? Sakai Otoi seemed to see Lin Zian's despair when he paid the bill. My Retirement Life in Neon. Author, Wu Nangkuang Song. Chapter 192. As soon as the two of them walked in, a waiter came over and asked, "Hello, how many are there?" "Don't you have the eyes to see?" Otono Sakai's temper was a bit grumpy and he shouted when he came in. Lin Zian was so frightened that he quickly dragged her away and said to the waiter, "I'm sorry, something happened to my friend. I apologize to you on her behalf. Please don't mind." She had seen this kind of thing as a waiter a lot, and Lin Zian's attitude was very sincere, so she didn't pay much attention to it and just nodded. "Who asked you to apologize for me?" "I'll do it myself." Otono Sakai next to him also realized his problem and reluctantly said to the waiter, "I'm sorry." The waiter and Lin Zian looked at each other and smiled, then turned around and said, "It's okay, you two, please come with me." Two people sit facing each other, and one position is equipped with an iron plate, a grill, and a pot. Fortunately, this seat is relatively large, otherwise it would be a problem whether Sakai Otoha can sit in it. "Guest, this is the menu, what would you like to order?" "Let me see." Lin Zian was about to pick up the menu when Sakai Otoi beat him to it. "I'll have 2 big plates of meat, and then..." Sakai Otoi said a lot until Lin Zian interrupted her. "That's almost enough. It will be wasted if you can't eat it later." "What? No money? You asked me to treat you." Sakai Otoi curled his lips and said to the waiter, "Then let's do this for now." Sir, the waiter looked at Lin Zion and asked. Go ahead, I still have the money for this meal. Lin Zion successfully made the waiter laugh with a wry smile. The two of them were eating, but it was Otono Sakai who was eating, and Lin Zion was just helping her bake. Her look like she was reincarnated as a starving ghost successfully made Lin Zion laugh. If Ziobai looks very healing when he eats, and Hasaka Ryo looks very warm when he eats, then Otono Sakai looks very shocking when he eats. Lin Zion seemed to have seen a battle on the battlefield, and a thought came to his mind, I think this person has courage that no man can match. Eat slowly, no one will compete with you. Lin Zion casually turned over the meat in the baking pan and asked tentatively, where are your parents? You are like this and they don't care. Sakai Otoi suddenly stopped when he heard this, put down the meat on his hand, and looked at him. Of course, you don't have to say it if you don't want to. I'm just asking casually. Lin Zion smiled at her and continued to turn over the meat. Seeing Sakai Otonoi's reaction, maybe there was something wrong with her parents, so Lin Zion couldn't continue asking. They had a car accident when I was 10 years old, and they left me an apartment and a compensation. The money has been almost used up by the expenses over the years, Sakai Otoha said as he poked the bottom of the bowl with his chopsticks. Okay, let's not talk about this anymore, let's eat vegetables. Lin Zion picked up the vegetables in the pot and gave them to her, not daring to bring up the topic just now. The two of them ate for a while. Lin Zion saw that the situation was almost done and said to Otoha Sakai, I'll go to the toilet first. Sakai Otoi looked at Lin Zion's back and smiled. She really believed that it was strange for Lin Zion to go to the toilet. After Lin Zion arrived here, he stopped eating a few pieces of meat and kept helping her bake it. She understood what this meant. She didn't really intend to let Lin Zion pay the bill. She was already very happy that Lin Zion could accompany her like this. Although the two people knew each other inexplicably, she still thought Lin Zion was very interesting. It was very strange for someone like her to be accosted for no reason. She estimated that Lin Zion saw her wandering on the bridge and thought she was going to jump into the river, so he wanted to come over and persuade her. It's just that his way of persuading people is a bit strange. Sakai Otonoha thought of the conversation between the two of them on the bridge, and a smile appeared on his face unconsciously. I'm back. When Sakai Otoi was thinking wildly, Lin Zion suddenly came back. Seeing a smile on her face, he asked, why are you smiling? No. Nothing. Sakai Otoi quickly picked up the bowl to cover himself. Unexpectedly, I guessed wrong. Why did he come back? Awkward. Are you in high school now? Which school are you in? Lin Zion smiled and then changed the subject. Hashibuki High School, I am a second-year student. I'm in Aoyama Academy, a first-year student. That means I'm older than you, so you have to call me senior or senior. No, can't I just call you Sakai? Why bother? There is an unwritten rule in the world of immortality. Usually, people with higher cultivation than themselves are called seniors. There may be people who are better than him in this world, but Neon does not. It's almost impossible to hear him say the word senior in Neon. You're so rude. Sakai Otoha looked at him disdainfully. In Neon, the concept of hierarchy is very serious. One level higher than you can really crush you to death, but this does not apply to Lin Zion. The concept of hierarchy is completely useless in his eyes. Because he cannot be divided by human levels. It's just a title. You can call me Junior, Kong Mua, or Ching Tian, but I can't call you Senior. Lin Zion didn't explain this to her, he just said it clearly. You just said it. Sakai Otoha pointed at Lin Zion with chopsticks and said with a smile. Lin Zion didn't defend himself, he just smiled. How are you going to face him? Lin Zion learned from her chat that she had not been to school for a few days. That's it, what else can I do? Sakai Otoi smiled. But Lin Zion saw more bitterness. Sir, this is the cake you ordered. The waiter came over with a cake and put it on their table. Thank you, Lin Zion nodded, then said to Sakai Otoha, I saw you ate so much, so I didn't order a big one. Can you still eat? You. Sakai Otoha covered her mouth, tears flowing like they were free. As soon as Lin Zion got home, Reina ran over. Why did Unai-chan come back so late today? Where did you go? Don't say it, it's a loss to go to save people, Lin Zion said with a smile. Really, Reina came over and smelled him. Unai-chan lied to me, this is the smell of barbecue, you obviously went to eat it secretly, and you didn't take me with you. I really went to save people, I didn't lie to you. Lin Zion laughed as he said this, and his laughter startled Oda Michiko. She went downstairs and saw Lin Zion laughing so happily, she also laughed and asked. What's wrong? Why is King Tian-kun so happy? Let's go out to eat barbecue tonight, Lin Zion replied, then he picked up Oda Reina and asked, is Reina happy? Happy, Oda Reina hugged Lin Zion and shouted, let's have barbecue tonight. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My Retirement Life in Neon. Author, Wu Nangkuang Song. Chapter 193. In fact, the barbecue restaurant he went to with Sakai Otoha today was just randomly found by him. He just had a little impression of it after passing by before. Otherwise, where would he go to find it at that time? The restaurant he went to with Oda and her daughter was found online. The reviews showed that it had a good reputation, fresh ingredients, large quantity, and low price. More importantly, it was not far away, which was very suitable for them to go. Unai-chan, what did you do in the afternoon? Oda Reina obviously didn't believe Lin Zion's words. Why did he save people in a barbecue restaurant? Didn't I say that? I really didn't say anything nonsense. Lin Zion just smiled and didn't explain in detail. How to say it, it's not a loss to save a person with a barbecue meal, although that meal was really a bit expensive. As someone who doesn't care about money said so, you can imagine how much Sakai Otoha ate. Lin Zion can only describe it as horrible. I don't believe it. Oda Reina crossed her hands in front of her chest and turned her head to look to the other side. Michiko Oda was also interested in this, but she was too embarrassed to ask. Seeing that Lin Zion didn't want to answer, she quickly helped him out. Reina, don't be like this. Has Qing Tian asked you about your affairs? It would be fine if Michiko Oda didn't say it. Reina was even more angry. She wanted Lin Zion to ask her every day, but Lin Zion would rather lie on the sofa and be a salted fish than ask her what happened at school. Doesn't he worry about himself at all? Reina Oda heard those classmates complain about their parents asking this and that every day at school, and how strict they were. Whenever she talked about these, Reina actually envied them. She also wanted Lin Zion to ask what happened at school, why she sometimes came home so late, whether there were any activities or other things. But Lin Zion never asked, and it was Michiko who asked. You can say she is timid, or you can say she is insecure. That's because she really only has Michiko and Lin Zion. In fact, she really misunderstood Lin Zion. She saw Lin Zion lying on the sofa like a salted fish, but in fact, Lin Zion was thinking, deducing, and simulating, combining things from two worlds. Otherwise, how could he have achieved so many results? In other words, Lin Zion was walking on a new path, and he had to overcome all difficulties, so he looked stupid when he was in school. Also, Chihiro often went to the junior high school to see her when she was in school, and Lin Zion was not afraid of her being bullied at all. More importantly, he always acquiesced to the private space that Oda Reina should have, because he himself did not like others asking questions, and he certainly would not touch Reina's private space. And when Reina had something to share with him, he was still very cooperative, and he would never cry when he should laugh. But in Oda Reina's view, it was Lin Zion who did not value herself, so he chose the form of free range. This is the collision of two different ideas. This may be the generation gap. Another new day. Today is the public speech of Jinji Tomi in their class. As a member of the class, he has to support the scene and do some odd jobs, like maintaining order, moving tables and chairs, passing water to leaders, etc. Anyway, they are not human. The speech venue is in the auditorium, which can accommodate more than 1,000 people. Even if all the students in the school come, it is no problem, but I don't know how many people can come today. Lin Xian's task is to welcome guests at the door. In fact, he just stands there like a wooden stick. There is also a poster about today's speech next to him. Jinji Tomi directly occupies most of the space in the middle. Under the sun, Lin Xian seriously suspected that Gongzong Lui and Jinji Tomi were messing with him, because he was the only one at the door. Looking at the eyes of people passing by, some looked pitiful, some laughed at him, and what was even more outrageous was that someone actually asked him to help carry the school bag, and then that person went in to see Jinji Tomi. Of course, Lin Xian helped him carry it, and then handed it to a passing school beauty level person, telling her that this person asked him to give it to her. When Lin Xian saw the school beauty leave happily, he couldn't help but feel happy for that brother. He has made contributions to the campus safety of this school, and all the teachers and students in the school will remember him. Seeing that almost everyone who should enter has entered, Lin Xian also entered the auditorium. He estimated that there were about 500 people. Now Jin's Hifujang has not come on stage yet, and the people in the audience are not noisy. Only a few people are talking, and they are talking in a low voice. I have to say that this quality is really good. Lin Xian also found a seat and sat down casually. He wanted to leave, but he was a little curious about how Jin's Hifujang would behave in front of so many people. It didn't take long for Jin's Hifujang to come up. According to convention, she should thank the leader first, and then a series of nonsense before getting to the point. Lin Xian saw that her performance was not very good, but it was not bad. At least she spoke smoothly. You know, 500 people is not a small number. Many people may not be able to speak fluently in front of so many people, let alone read the speech completely. But some people can speak without a script. This is a competition of psychological quality. As far as Lin Xian knows, Jinji Tomi doesn't seem to have had similar experiences. Of course, he just said that he knew about it at school. As for the others, Lin Xian is not sure. Anyway, she performed well, and the feedback from the people on the scene was also good. Not many people were playing with their phones. After all, these people came voluntarily, not forced to come. Lin Xian slipped away before Jinji Tomi finished the main text. He had already seen the relevant information when he was handing out flyers. These candidates all have their own ideas, which generally involve issues such as holidays, canteens, and clubs. But no matter what, it is for the benefit of students. After all, they have to win votes. And Jin's Hifujiang's idea is to promote the establishment of cram schools in the school. Because of the venue problem, the price in the school is much cheaper than that outside the school, and this can also ensure the safety of students who originally had to walk a long way to cram school. More importantly, the teacher still has an income, because it is after school, so it does not affect the teacher's normal class. In Lin Xian's opinion, there are still many loopholes in her idea, such as how do you deal with the problem that the teacher keeps a hand during the normal class and forces you to go to cram school, and how to solve the troubles caused by interests. Of course, this is just a draft, and it has not been perfected. If Jin's Hifujang is elected, she will still be busy with this issue, and at that time she will not be alone, but there will be a student union group. And the speech is a platform to show one's own ideas. Unlike the one they organized a few days ago, this is officially recognized by the school. The time of each candidate's speech is staggered, and teachers will be sent to supervise and record. The school also needs to see the situation of these candidates. But it had nothing to do with him because he was going home. My Retirement Life in Neon. Author, Wu Nangkuang Song. Chapter 194. Yesterday, Tomi Tsutsuji's speech was very successful. Yes, yes. So cool, I will definitely support her. Tsutsuji Tomi's support rate is very high. Lin Ziyan and Oda Reina were walking in the school. Along the way, many people were discussing yesterday's speech. Most of them were dog-licking speeches. He also heard more exaggerated words, but they were not praising Tomi Tsutsuji, but slandering. Most of them were out of jealousy, and a large part of them were girls. Lin Ziyan suddenly felt a little funny. Those girls said one thing in front of people and another behind their backs. Aren't they tired? Oda Reina next to him saw Lin Ziyan suddenly laugh, and asked curiously, which Tomi Tsutsuji is Uni-I-chan's classmate? Why are so many people discussing her? Yes, didn't you see her on the rooftop last time, the blonde one? She is now running for the president of the student union. Of course, people will discuss such a school figure. That senior sister is so amazing. When can I be like that? Reina said to Tomi Tsutsuji in an admiring tone, but secretly watching Lin Ziyan's reaction. She wanted to know how Lin Ziyan viewed this person, and whether this person was a threat to her. Hosokawa Ryo had already fallen, and she didn't want Tsuji Tomi to come. It's okay. If you have money, you will be as confident as her. Lin Ziyan did not discourage Reina's enthusiasm. The education they received was not equal at all, and the level they were exposed to was too different. There was no comparison at all. Oda Reina felt for the first time that Lin Ziyan's perfunctory attitude was very good. Reina walked to the junior high school happily by herself, and Lin Ziyan's new day of campus life ended just as it began. Lying on the lawn, Lin Ziyan enjoyed the gentle breeze peacefully. The weather was good today, and the sun was not very strong. There was only a small sun hiding in the clouds. After lying down for a while, he found that it was suddenly dark. Lin Ziyan opened his eyes and murmured, "Is it going to rain?" Then he found a huge monster. "Oh, what a coincidence!" Lin Ziyan smiled and greeted, and then closed his eyes again. "I came to see you, it's not a coincidence." Sakai Otoha sat next to Lin Ziyan. "Why, you come to treat me to a meal?" Lin Ziyan opened one eye and glanced at her. In fact, Lin Ziyan knew she was coming a long time ago. She had been looking at him for a while just now, but he ignored her. "I want revenge, can you help me?" Sakai Otoha ignored Lin Ziyan's words, but said to himself what Lin Ziyan had been waiting for a long time. "Are you finally giving up?" Lin Ziyan turned over and sat up. He had guessed that this day would come. "Haha, give up." Sakai Otoha laughed in anger. "I thought that after such a long friendship, we can be friends after it's clear. I didn't expect to hear others say that when I just returned to school." He drew a clear line with others and me, saying that I followed him all day long, which made him very annoyed. He felt much more relaxed when I was away these days. He didn't want to care about people like me at all. This is too much. Lin Ziyan's three views were refreshed again. This was a bit different from what he thought. "There's something even more outrageous," Sakai Otoha said self-deprecatingly, "when I found him and wanted to make it clear with him. Do you know what his first sentence was when we met?" "What was it?" Lin Ziyan's gossiping spirit also burned. "He said that he had thrown away the things I gave him and it was impossible for him to return them to me, but I just wanted to make it clear with him at the time and had no intention of asking him to return them to me. Maybe the people who played with me before felt sorry for me, and they told me that he didn't throw them away, and those figurines and game consoles were still at home." Sakai Otoha was obviously talking too much, saying everything. Lin Ziyan kept listening to her for almost half an hour. From the two people's acquaintance to the breakup, Lin Ziyan was amazed at the wonderfulness of it. After listening, Lin Ziyan felt that his inspiration was surging, and he wanted to go back to write immediately. Thank you for listening to me. After saying these, Sakai Otoha felt much more comfortable, and the feeling of something pressing on his chest disappeared. No, I like to listen to stories. Lin Ziyan already had a scene of two people in his mind, and he went back to write a short story to fool the stupid netizens. Hey. By the way, Lin Ziyan seemed to remember something and asked, do you really want revenge? Yes, I must make him regret it. Sakai Otoha gritted his teeth and said. If you want me to help you, you have to pay a price. I'm willing to pay any price. Well, we are all friends, the price is 3 million yen. Lin Ziyan decided immediately, kill him within 3 days, and I can scatter his ashes for you if you add more money. Lin Ziyan's words stunned Sakai Otoha on the spot. How about it? This is a friendship price, it can't be lower. Lin Ziyan smiled when she saw her frightened look. Sakai Otoha saw him laughing like that and then reacted and laughed and scolded, you are really, don't make such a joke. I'm not kidding, I'm serious. Lin Ziyan's expression immediately became very serious. But this time Sakai Otoha ignored him and said to herself, I want him to regret what he did today. According to what you said, he is less than 1.7 meters tall. If you hit him with a punch, he will cry for a long time. Why do you do this? Just beat him until he cries. Beat him every time you see him until he regrets it. Stop joking. Sakai Otoha looked at Lin Ziyan and smiled helplessly. Being disturbed by him like this, the momentum that she had accumulated with great difficulty was gone, and she could only laugh foolishly with him. I'm not joking. This is the simplest and most convenient way. You don't have to work so hard. Lin Ziyan saw that she calmed down and stopped joking. Instead, he helped her analyze seriously. I will defeat him in the place where he least expects it. Sakai Otoha still insisted on her original idea. Then what are you going to do? Lin Ziyan lay back, crossed his legs, and asked very leisurely. I want to lose weight. This is too difficult. For a figure like yours, you have to lose fat first and then shape your body. It will take more than 3 months, and you have to stick to it for 3 months. Lin Ziyan told the truth. She didn't look very fat because of her height, but in Lin Ziyan's eyes, it was still very troublesome. After all, she had to take care of her body. She couldn't ruin her body because of losing weight. That would be a bit of a loss. I'm not afraid. Then why don't you just go find a gym? There are professionals to teach you. No, I've tried it before, and I'll give up soon. I need someone to supervise me. It's not the first time that Sakai Otoha has gone to the gym. She lost her enthusiasm within 2 days, and even gained weight because of overeating after exercise. So you choose me? Lin Ziyan was not moved by her, and still looked so arrogant. Why should I help you? I've been in a bad state recently. I'm not satisfied with what I wrote. After opening the account twice, the plot is often mixed up. There were originally 7 subscribers, but now there are only 4. I'm so tired. My retirement life in Neon. Author, Wu Nangkuang Song. Chapter 195. I will pay you, just like you said, 3 million yen. Sakai Otoha looked at Lin Ziyan expectantly. Are you sure? Lin Ziyan stood up suddenly when he heard her words. You must know that this number was just a random talk. 3 million yen is probably more than 180,000, which is not too much in Neon, but for Sakai Otoha. According to what Sakai Otoha told herself, her parents died, leaving her a house and a compensation, so the money may have been obtained in exchange for her parents' lives. Let's not talk about whether Lin Ziyan is short of money, but taking this money will really shorten his life. If you feel it's not enough, add more. No, 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 even if you hire a personal trainer for 3 months, it probably won't cost you much. You even have extra money to hire a nutritionist to prepare meals for you. But they won't supervise me. They will only treat me as a customer. After the training, I will be gone. Sakai Otoha said her reason. What you said makes sense. Lin Zion nodded, and then said, but I still disagree. You don't even want to help me, so what should I do? Sakai Otoi lowered his head in frustration. In this case, if you promise me a condition, I will help you. Lin Zion thought for a while and decided to help her. Okay. That's what we said. Sakai Otoi quickly agreed as if he was afraid that Lin Zion would regret it. Hey. Why don't you ask me what the conditions are? Lin Zion looked at her curiously and asked. It doesn't matter, I have nothing anyway. Sakai Otonoha smiled and waved his hand, as if he didn't care. As soon as she said this, Lin Zion knew that she might not give up the idea yet, which would be a bit troublesome. As mentioned at the beginning, Lin Zion is a very strange person. He has contradictory characteristics. On the one hand, he ignores life, but on the other hand, he values life more than most people. He killed people he couldn't even remember, but who were entrusted with caring for the young of a feral cat. On the one hand, he doesn't like being bound by rules, but he also likes to act within the rules. With his status, he could not care about school, but he arrived at school on time and would only skip class when he found an excuse. To put it simply, he does everything based on his preference and has no rules. In fact, from the incident with Otorena, we can see that Lin Zion has a perverted hobby. To put it bluntly, he likes to see people he hates suffer misfortune, and he does not do it himself, but trains a victim to defeat the people he hates. In Lin Zion's opinion, no game is more fun and more fulfilling than this one. That's why he spared no effort to train Otorena until she was completely transformed. Not only did she face reality again, but she also defeated her former self. That's right, what Lin Zion hated at first was Otorena, who was hiding behind Michiko to escape from reality, and Sagarayoko was obviously not qualified to be a boss. She was at most an elite monster. What did Lin Zion gain in this process? He got nothing, just satisfied his own vulgar taste. But for a salted fish who has lost his dream, is there anything more important than this? Of course, not everyone is worthy of his action. If he hadn't seen the hatred that wanted to destroy the world in Otorena's eyes, he would not have become interested in Otorena, and of course there would be no follow-up. It's over. But Oda and his daughter stepped into the web he had woven without any knowledge. The only thing that Lin Zion didn't guess at the beginning was that Michiko Oda came to stab him. In order to continue the plan, he was forced to take a step back and was unwilling to break the rules he had set. Fortunately, Michiko Oda's subsequent performance was worthy of his regression, otherwise it would have been a loss. And now someone who meets the conditions appears again, someone he hates, someone who is willing to do anything to resist. How to train, teach, her. He started to get a little interested. Are you sure? My training is very strict. Once I start, I can't stop until I'm satisfied, Lin Zion said to her seriously, without a certain expression. Of course I'm sure, that's why I'm looking for you. Sakai Otoi smiled and reached out to Lin Zion. The agreement is made. Lin Zion also stretched out his hand to her and took it. Are you ready? Always ready, Sakai Otoha comically imitated the salute on TV. Today we will set a regulation and short-term goals, and we will officially start tomorrow. For a long-term matter, Lin Zion prefers to set a goal first. This can ensure the correctness of the path forward, and the sense of accomplishment after completing the short-term goal will fill up part of the confusion and help with follow-up progress. Let's first determine the free time between the two of us. Lin Zion reported his time. In fact, Lin Zion is free except at school. I can do it. For a person who gives up everything to prove himself, time is the cheapest. Lin Zion was not very surprised by this answer. He just glanced at her lightly and continued, what you have to do now is not only to lose weight, but also a series of courses later, but let's not mention these for now and complete the weight loss first. Lin Zion thought for a while and continued, Losing weight is divided into several parts, the most important of which is to control diet and exercise. I will help you arrange the diet. You don't have to worry about this. Next, I will talk about what you should do. How to lose weight. According to your body type, I think you should lose fat first, then shape your body, and for losing fat, I recommend swimming. Why? My coach said jogging is good, Sakai Otoha asked in confusion. Because with your body type, other sports put too much pressure on the bones, and losing weight should also consider physical health, and swimming is not slower than other sports. The body curves trained in this way are more even and don't look too abrupt. How do you know so much about sports, don't you? Don't talk nonsense, listen to me, Lin Zion interrupted her directly. If she knew that Lin Zion had cut dozens of people to understand the human body so well, she probably wouldn't have asked him. Lin Zion's understanding of human muscles is no worse than that of professionals, and he even knows more about some places that ordinary people can't feel. Okay, go on. Then let's find a place to swim today. You are familiar with the area. Do you know what there is? Lin Zion thought for a while and added, it's best to be closer. I know. Sakai Otoha glanced at Lin Zion, the meaning of which was unclear. Okay, take me to see it, and we'll gather there directly after school. Lin Zion was really resolute when it came to doing things. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My Retirement Life in Neon. Author, Wu Nangkuang Song. Chapter 196. Then Sakai Otoha took Lin Zion to her home. What? Is this your home? Lin Zion looked at the villa in front of him, and a feeling of being deceived arose spontaneously, and then turned around and wanted to leave. Seeing this, Sakai Otoha grabbed Lin Zion and said, don't leave, since you are here, come in and sit down. Give me back my money first. Lin Zion spread his palms to her. I didn't ask you to borrow money, what do I have to pay back? Sakai Otoha smiled indifferently. That meal money, I'm just a high school student, can you bear it? Have the heart, because I am also a high school student. Sakai Otoha smiled and dragged Lin Zion in, and locked the big iron door. You can't escape. Lin Zion followed her all the way in, an exquisite 3-story villa, not only with a swimming pool, but also with a small garden and a garage, covering an area larger than his home. Sakai Otoha skillfully opened the door with one hand, then pushed Lin Zion in, and then locked the door, with smooth movements. Sit down first. I'll make some tea. Sakai Otoha took Lin Zion to the living room and walked away. Lin Zion walked around the living room and looked out the French window to see the swimming pool and the garden. However, Lin Zion saw that the swimming pool had not been used for a long time and had been drained. There were no weeds in it, but there were a lot of dead branches and leaves. It was probably very troublesome to clean it up. However, the swimming pool was not big. It was a family swimming pool. It was estimated to be 10 m times 6 m and the depth was about 1.8 m minus 2.0 m. Although it seemed a little small to Lin Zion, it was still good not to have to squeeze with others. He had a little cleanliness obsession. Sorry, there is no tea at home. Is Coke okay? Sakai Otoha took out 2 cans of Fat House Happy Water with a little apology. Why did Lin Zion feel that this sentence was so familiar? You are not allowed to drink these in the future. Lin Zion took both cans from her hand. Isn't it starting tomorrow? Sakai Otoha understood, but still a little reluctant. Go find me a bigger bag. Lin Zion ignored her complaints and gave her a new order. Oh, although Sakai Otoha didn't understand what Lin Zion wanted to do, she still cooperated with him and found a big black bag for garbage. Okay, it's strong enough, it should be able to hold everything. Lin Zion took the bag and pulled it, then walked into the house. What are you putting in? Sakai Otoha followed Lin Zion curiously, until Lin Zion stopped in front of the refrigerator. She reacted, rushed up and shouted, "No! Huh! It's too late." Lin Zion snorted coldly, pushed her out, then opened the refrigerator and took all her snacks. Sakai Otoha fell to the ground like a fat otaku, holding her head and wailing, "Ah! Leave some for me, don't take them all away, don't kill me." Lin Zion filled a bag, walked up to her and asked, "Are there any more?" "No, all gone." Sakai Otoha got up from the ground, pushed Lin Zion away, and rushed to the refrigerator. When she saw that there were still a few ice creams left in the refrigerator, she burst into tears of joy. "Fortunately, there are a few left. I won't bother with you this time. You think too much. I will take those away when I leave, otherwise it will be bad if they melt." Lin Zion gave her a fatal blow. "Ah! Spare me, don't take them away from me, I can't leave him. Come here, where are the snacks?" Lin Zion dragged her away from the refrigerator with one hand and began the process of pointing out the stolen goods, which was too cruel to be described in detail. Looking at the two big bags, Lin Zion felt that he had made a good trip this time. He had originally planned to raid her house and confiscate the snacks, but who knew that she would dare to let the wolf into the house, which made things much easier for him. Looking at Sakai Otoha kneeling on the ground, Lin Zion said, "You eat these every day, no wonder you are so fat. Woo woo, didn't we say that we would start tomorrow? You lied to me. Everyone is about the same. I learned from you." Lin Zion ignored her, but stood up and looked outside. "Clean the swimming pool now, otherwise it will be useless tomorrow." "Oh, I'll call the cleaner." "Wait, come back," Lin Zion said with a grin. "I asked you to go, not to ask you to find someone to help you." "Ah! What? Go quickly. You are not allowed to eat if you don't finish the work." Lin Zion drove her away. Of course Lin Zion also went to help. No matter what, he took so many snacks. It took the two of them almost an hour to clean up the pool. Lin Zion sat by the pool with his pants rolled up to his calves, while Sakai Otoha ran around the pool with a hose. It had already been rinsed once, so it only needed to be rinsed. While the water was running, Sakai Otoha mysteriously took Lin Zion to a room. When the door was opened, there were all kinds of fitness equipment inside. Before Lin Zion asked, Sakai Otoha started talking. "My father is a mountain climbing enthusiast. Every year he chooses a different world-famous mountain to conquer, but he is usually busy with official duties and cannot go out for exercise often, so there is this place, and my father uses it to exercise his physical fitness to prepare for higher peaks." Sakai Otoha seemed to have thought of something, and paused for a while before continuing. "He promised to take me to climb the world's highest peak when I grow up." Lin Zion saw her mouth curled up as she spoke, and he could only shake his head helplessly when he saw this. "That's even better. With these equipment, you don't need to go to the gym or buy more." Lin Zion interrupted her imagination and dragged her back to the real world. "Heh, yes." Sakai Otoha also noticed her abnormality, and quickly came to her senses and said to Lin Zion, "I'm sorry." "It's okay." Lin Zion nodded to show his understanding. Lin Zion dragged two bags of things home. He found that it was less than 10 minutes from Sakai Otoha's house to his house. It turned out that they were also neighbors. "Aoni-chan, why are you back so late today? Did you go to the barbecue restaurant to save people again?" Otorena pouted when she saw Lin Zion coming back. "Come and see what this is." Lin Zion didn't say anything, just put the two bags of snacks on the ground, and then lay on the sofa. "What?" Reina came over curiously, opened the bag, and then she was speechless. "Aoni-chan, did you rob the supermarket?" "What are you talking about? This is given to me by the person I saved yesterday." "It sounds so bad to say robbery." Lin Zion said proudly. "There's nothing I can do. Good people will be rewarded." "Aoni-chan, I want to save people too." Otorena threw away her snacks and rushed to Lin Zion. "Hey! Don't come over. My Retirement Life in Neon." Author, Wu Nangkuang Song. Chapter 197. The sound of two people messing around in the living room attracted Michiko from the kitchen. She originally thought that Linzian would not come back for dinner today. She was about to call and ask, but she knew that he was back at the right time. This is... Michiko opened the two bags of snacks and looked at them, then frowned and said, Ao Tien-kun, why did you buy so many snacks? Eating these is not good for your health. I didn't buy it from Unai-chan, it was given by someone else. Odarina ran over to protect the two bags of snacks, which she had already put in her name by default. Linzian rarely eats these things, and Michiko Oda doesn't even touch them. Didn't she get an advantage in the end? No, Michiko glared at Reina. Based on her understanding of her daughter, she had already guessed what Reina was thinking and confiscated the snacks. If I find you eating secretly, you know the consequences. Unai-chan. Odarina saw this and ran to Linzian again, trying to be coquettish to Linzian. Mom, she bullied me. Seeing her like this, Linzian smiled happily and said, your mother is really right. I support her this time. If you want to eat in the future, just report to her. Put these away first. Some of them need to be put in the refrigerator. Linzian turned to Michiko and said. Yes, Michiko agreed, and then both of them ignored Odarina, leaving her alone on the sofa and wailing. Rina, why don't you come over for dinner? Michiko's majestic voice sounded. As soon as Odarina heard this, she jumped up from the sofa and ran over. While eating, Linzian remembered that he might have to go home later every day in the future, so he had to tell Oda and his daughter about this. He had to consider whether to come back to eat or eat with Sakai Otoha at her house. Thinking that Sakai Otonoi would definitely not follow his words, Linzian still decided to strangle her neck, otherwise how long would it take to lose weight? I have a job recently and I will probably come back very late, so you can just have dinner without waiting for me. Work? Is it sculpting? Michiko thought for a moment and asked curiously. Linzian hesitated, absolutely. Sculpting a human body is a big project and can't be completed in just a few months. That's it? Oda and her daughter had nothing to say. Linzian's decision was not something they could change. Unai-chan. Unai-chan. Odarina opened the door of the study room and saw Linzian sitting in front of the computer thinking about something, so she asked, what are you doing? Study. Linzian looked at Lene and then looked back at the computer screen. Odarina moved closer and found that the computer screen was full of beautiful young ladies in various poses. Reina became anxious and grabbed the mouse to exit, but was pressed by Linzian. Live. How can you watch this, Unai-chan? It's so obscene. What the hell is this? Aren't you all wearing clothes? Why is it so obscene? I'm just learning. Linzian really didn't talk nonsense, he was really learning. He also knows a little about the professional knowledge of fitness and weight loss. Compared with these, he understands the structure of the human body better. Even he cannot ignore these experiences that have been summarized and tested by everyone. Of course he wants to take a look at the little sister. The purpose is pure. Why do you need to learn these? Reina couldn't stand seeing these figures because she didn't have them. Am I too cruel? The body curve and modern people's aesthetics are very important. Only by understanding these can we create perfect works. Linzian explained casually, then looked at her and said. Also, I don't like people interrupting my work, you know. Odarina nodded aggrievedly, and then walked out of the room dejectedly. She even forgot the purpose of coming here. She originally wanted to come over and tell Linzian that she was dragged into a club by that friend. Her mother was on the first floor just now, and she didn't want Michiko to know about her friend, so everything was delayed until now. But now he died suddenly. After finishing the housework, Michiko Oda went out to the living room and saw Reina, who had been doing homework in the room at this time, sitting on the sofa with a look of aggrievedness. Hold your legs with your hands and place your chin on your knees. No need to think about it, there must be another problem. Michiko shook her head helplessly, her daughter was still too young. What's the matter, are you having a conflict with King Tian-kun again? Michiko sat next to Reina and stroked her hair with one hand. No, Oda. Reina fell directly onto Michiko and leaned into her mother's arms. Michiko smiled and said, "Don't I know you well? Tell me about it." Oda. Reina hesitated for a moment before telling Michiko what happened just now. How can Uni-chan watch something like that? You are so stingy. Didn't King Tian-kun say it was work? But King Tian-kun is a very independent person. Of course he will be angry if you disturb him at work. Seeing that Reina still looked unconvinced, Michiko added, and he has already said not to disturb him when he is working. If you don't believe it, who is to blame for the loss now? It's not you. Michiko nodded Reina's forehead. In fact, Oda. Reina knew that it was her fault, but she just didn't want to admit it. She felt that Lin Zion had ignored her during this period of time, and she was even more afraid that Lin Zion would suddenly ignore her one day. Thinking about it, she told her mother about it, but who knew that Michiko laughed after hearing it. It's not that King Tian-kun has changed, but you have changed, and you have become too greedy. No way. Reina turned around in Michiko's arms and looked at Michiko's face. You still say no? Michiko poked Reina's little face. Originally, King Tian-kun would either go to the basement or the study after dinner, and would work until about 9 o'clock before coming out to take a shower and watch TV with you. But since you complained last time, he has been waiting for you to go to bed before taking a shower, and he has been with you for half an hour longer. Only half an hour. You are really, no wonder King Tian-kun doesn't like you. Do you know how busy he is every day? Michiko suddenly felt that her daughter was really stupid. No, he always lies on the sofa after school, either in a daze or sleeping. Reina replied disdainfully. Can't you see that Aoda-kun is thinking about something? Don't you see that he frowns from time to time? Don't you see that he wakes up when you go over? Michiko looked at her daughter and shook her head. This brain is useless. Then what is he thinking about? People like him are of course thinking about their works. You just said that he has to look at the lines of the human body in order to carve portraits. He must be thinking about his works at ordinary times. I don't know about other things, but I know that he must be busy. Even if Aoda-kun is very busy every day, he still takes time to accompany you. Are you not satisfied? Really? Reina climbed up from Michiko's arms excitedly, but she felt a little strange after a while and asked, but how can mom know so much? As an employee, of course you have to know what the boss is going to do and when. Michiko explained with a smile. Yes, Reina answered stupidly. My Retirement Life in Neon. Author, Wu Nangkuang Song. Chapter 198. Lin Zion had no idea about the conversation between the mother and daughter downstairs, and he had no time to pay attention to that. He was now concentrating on completing his work. This time, Lin Zion did not write a novel, but more like writing a script. With Sakai Otoha as the protagonist and her experience as the plot, using flashbacks, Lin Zion imagined things that had not yet happened, which was nothing more than a face-slapping plot, which he could do easily. The whole article used 3 major turning points to present Sakai Otoha's transformation one by one. The first change was the death of both parents in childhood. The second change was to meet his scumbag friends. The third change was rebirth from the ashes. Lin Zion got excited while writing, and the crackling sound of typing on the keyboard in the room could not be stopped at all, and the text on the computer screen was replaced at a rapid speed, line after line, and ordinary people's naked eyes could not keep up with this speed. With a click, Lin Zion tapped his finger on the enter key, watched the file upload complete, then stretched leisurely and said to himself, finally done, I can postpone it for a while. Lin Zion glanced at the time, it was almost 1 o'clock, and he hadn't showered yet. But he still had one thing to do. Lin Zion casually opened the group chat called Source of Happiness and posted the news that he had started a new project. The new short story has been uploaded, everyone who is interested can go and take a look. Lin Zion sent it out within 2 minutes and a large group of people appeared. You dare to come back? Have you filled the hole you dug last time? Where is the author now? I want to send you some local specialties to make up for it. Next time it won't be so short. Based on the short story he posted last time, I infer that this grandson is in Japan. Group up to catch him and put him in a small dark room to write. If he can't write, he's not allowed to leave. 1/1000. Count me in, 2/1000. Count me in, 999/1000. Lin Zion couldn't help but smile as he watched them swipe the screen. This brother named Tang Yuji is really persistent. He always sends him local specialties. The reason why these netizens are so angry is that he wrote the story of Oda's mother and daughter some time ago. Of course, it was processed artistically, and the main characters have changed their names. But for the sake of realism, Lin Zion put a lot of things in place intactly. So as long as you are interested, through the description of scenery and daily life, and even the price of goods, these can all be inferred where the story takes place. But someone did it. However, he dared to write the story of Oda's mother and daughter into a story, so he was not afraid of them finding out. Japan is so big, how long will they find out? The more important reason is that Lin Zion divided the story of Oda's mother and daughter into 2 parts. The first part is of course before he came. At that time, the situation of Oda's mother and daughter was certainly not much better. What's more cruel is that he used a method of seeing sadness in joy, which made the readers feel more deeply about this matter, but it was disconnected in the middle. This is equivalent to you rushing in the middle and the parents come in. At this time, you can't continue or not. That feeling of being neither up nor down is really uncomfortable. If he hadn't announced at the end that there would be a next article, those people would have come to hit him. He hasn't thought about his position in the next article, so he hasn't started writing, and those who were trapped by him are of course unhappy with his behavior of opening a new pit. Based on his understanding of these people, coming to catch him and lock him in a small dark room is already a light punishment. Fortunately, they don't know who they are. Whenever he thought of the person beating his chest and stamping his feet on the other side of the computer, he was very happy. Happiness was indeed built on the pain of others. But after thinking about it, Oda's mother and daughter were the most miserable. They became his material and were truly tools. After taking a shower, Lin Zion did not go back to his room to sleep directly, but went down to the basement. He checked Xiaobai's condition every day, but it seemed that there was nothing serious now. It was still very stable, but Xiaobai's fat was slowly decreasing. It was estimated that he would wake up in the next few days. Lin Zion had already prepared water and cat food downstairs. Xiaobai could eat it as soon as he woke up, without waiting for him to come back. While he was free, Lin Zion took another look at Kingsun's situation. She now turned into her original form and digested the residual souls left by the human-faced centipede in the bead. The quality of these residual souls was of course much better than those she found herself, but the difficulty of digestion was also increased. If she did not rely on the equipment Lin Zion gave her, it would still take a long time to digest the hundreds of residual souls he had processed. Now at least half of the time has been shortened. It should be fine in a few days, and then there will be some things that you don't need to do yourself. Chihiro is still very obedient and easy to use. It's very smooth and comfortable to use. Mom, why is Unai-chan missing again? Oda Reina ran downstairs without even changing into pajamas, and asked Michiko who was in the kitchen. Aoda-kun said he was going to work, and he will be back later. Don't worry. Michiko prepared breakfast, turned around and said to Reina with a smile. When Lin Zion went out, she knew that her daughter would definitely come over to ask, so she didn't feel strange about Reina's reaction. What surprised her was that Lin Ziyan went out so early in the morning and took a piece of paper with him when he left. She didn't see it clearly at the time, but at a glance it should be something like a table. Although she was curious, she was not as curious as Reina, and she was outspoken. When Lin Ziyan came back, it was already 7 o'clock, and an hour had passed since he went out. Michiko Oda looked at Lin Ziyan, who came back for breakfast, and calculated the time. Is this hour really necessary? Where does Qingtian go to work? Maybe the mother and daughter are in tune with each other, Michiko asked as soon as she thought of Reina. Where does Unai-chan work? Why did you go out so early? Lin Ziyan didn't pay attention to her question and answered casually, it's nearby. Their house is a villa with a swimming pool in the backyard. I'll take you there when I'm free. Don't bother, Qingtian's work is more important. Michiko glanced at Reina and suppressed the excited Reina. Reina Oda immediately reacted when she saw Michiko say this, and said no. Lin Ziyan didn't know what the two of them were thinking, and thought they were just being polite, so he explained, it's okay, I know the owner of that house, he's a nice guy, we'll go there when summer comes. To be honest, Lin Ziyan wanted to go to the beach, but first, he didn't have a car, second, he had no place to stay, and third, there were too many people. In fact, it was just too much trouble. Brother Tang Yuji's supporting role has already arrived, and there will be more plots for him later. If you want a supporting role, you can tell me. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My Retirement Life in Neon. Author, Wu Nangkuang Song. Chapter 199. Unai-chan. Reina called out when she saw Lin Ziyan in a daze. Huh? Lin Ziyan looked at Reina, not knowing what she wanted him to do. Unai-chan, what can you do in an hour? You might as well go when you have time, Reina asked hesitantly. Even though she ran over to wake Lin Ziyan up every day, she was always on time. If she saw that Lin Ziyan didn't get enough sleep, she felt more distressed than anyone else, especially when she learned from Michiko that Lin Ziyan went to bed very late last night, and had to rush to work in the morning, and then rush back to school. Running around, so hard. It's okay, finish early and end early. Lin Ziyan thought about what happened in the past hour and said indifferently. Now let's go back to an hour ago. Although he went to bed very late last night, Lin Ziyan woke up very early today. In fact, he usually stayed in bed not because he was sleepy, but because he didn't want to get up. Now he had something to do, of course he could get up. After simply cleaning up his personal hygiene, he went out with the recipe and schedule he wrote last night. After ringing the doorbell of Sakai Otoha's house, Lin Ziyan looked at the villa and a question popped up in his mind, does Sakai Otoha have money? The reason he wanted to know was that when he was making a recipe and a schedule, he found that it would cost a lot of money if he calculated it in his way, and he, Lin Ziyan, would definitely not pay for her. So Sakai Otoha's financial strength is very important to this matter. This is related to whether he should redesign the plan. After ringing the doorbell for a long time, no one opened the door. Lin Ziyan looked around, and a small stream of liquid like golden light emerged from his hand and drilled into the keyhole. After a while, the door opened. Lin Ziyan smiled after seeing it. This golden light spell that he had improved was really useful. He searched the whole house when he was looking for snacks yesterday, so he knew which room Sakai Otoha was sleeping in, and he went straight up to the dragon. Open the door, get up, Lin Ziyan called a few times but there was no response, so he just went in directly. As soon as he entered, he saw a pig lying on the bed. Lin Ziyan kicked her off the bed and shouted at the hazy Sakai Otoha, you still want to take revenge on him? You are a pig. Huh, Sakai Otoha was sprayed by Lin Ziyan before she could react. Huh, what huh? I'll give you 5 minutes to put on your swimsuit and come out to see me. Lin Zion turned around and left, leaving Sakai Otoha in a daze. Hey! That's not right. How did you get in? When Sakai Otoha reacted, Lin Zion had already left. Lin Zion, who was sitting in the hall, was looking at the schedule he designed, and then Sakai Otoha's voice came. You haven't told me how you got in yet. Sakai Otoha was still a little angry. No matter who was sleeping well and was suddenly kicked off the bed by someone, it would be impossible not to be angry. It was good that she didn't come up and scold. What did I tell you yesterday? If you don't want revenge, don't come to beg me, and don't waste my time. Just say no now and I'll go home immediately. Lin Zion's expression was gloomy. Tell me, do you want to cancel it? No, 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 I'm wrong, there won't be a next time. Sakai Otoha was reminded by Lin Zion and remembered that the two of them had agreed to meet at 6 o'clock yesterday, but she forgot it. It was really her fault. Now go and do 5 minutes of warm-up exercises, then swim for half an hour and then come talk to me. Lin Zion was not polite to her at all. Yes, Sakai Otoha ran out impatiently. Compared to staying next to Lin Zion, she would rather exercise. Lin Zion now seemed like a different person from yesterday, so scary. 5 minutes later, Lin Zion saw Sakai Otoha still wandering by the swimming pool, and kicked her into the pool. Ah! It's so cold, what are you doing? If you move, it won't be cold anymore, hurry up, you fat pig. Lin Zion saw her floating on the surface, motionless, really like a dead pig floating on the water. Sakai Otoha still knows how to swim, but she hasn't been in the water for a long time. After a few splashes in the water, she remembered, and then turned from a dead pig into a turtle. Move, I told you to swim, not to float on the water. Yes, Sakai Otoha held her breath and swung her limbs wildly. Then she was too tired to move after a few strokes and returned to the state of a dead pig. Then you can't blame others for not wanting you. Don't you know what you look like? Pigs swim better than you. Comparing you with pigs is simply an insult to pigs. After all, Lin Zion has received professional training. Sakai Otoha can't stand his foul mouth. After a few words, she slapped the water and got angry. Then she wanted to come up, but was kicked down by Lin Zion again. Are you here to waste my time? Even if you want to float today, you have to float for half an hour before you can come up. Then it was an inhumane half an hour. When Sakai Otoha came up, she saw that Lin Zion didn't even dare to speak. This poor child has become autistic. Now I give you 10 minutes to take a cold shower. Hurry up, you only have 10 minutes. Lin Zion pointed to the clock on the wall and said. Sakai Otoha cried while washing in the bathroom. She was cold and hungry. She didn't even know what she was doing now. Lin Zion looked at Sakai Otoha who came out. This body of fat is indeed useful. The weather is not hot now, and it is a bit cold in the morning. If Rina is like her, let alone half an hour, even 10 minutes will be a problem. It's okay. You have taken the first step and are one step closer to success. Lin Zion patted her shoulder. Let's have breakfast first. I'll tell you about the next plan. Lin Zion's sudden change of attitude made her a little uncomfortable, so she nodded. Look, this is the recipe I customized for you. Lin Zion handed her a piece of paper. If you don't understand anything, you can ask me. Can I have breakfast now? Sakai Otoha didn't hear what Lin Zion said at all. She was staring at the breakfast on the table. Lin Zion had prepared it for her when she went to take a shower just now. Of course, you have completed your morning task. As soon as Lin Zion finished speaking, Sakai Otoha grabbed the breakfast like a vicious dog and started eating. Eat slowly. No one will snatch it from you. Lin Zion saw that she looked a little miserable, but it didn't affect his plan. Next, I will introduce you to the recipe before you succeeded in losing weight. Last night, he studied it. There are several principles for fitness and weight loss recipes. One is to eat less and more meals. The second is less oil, less salt, and less sugar. Third, reduce starch intake, but do not give up carbohydrates. Fourth, do not limit the intake of vegetables and fruits. Fifth, increase protein intake. My Retirement Life in Neon. Author, Wu Nangkuang Song. Chapter 200. The diet Lin Ziyan gave her. Breakfast, 250 ml milk/soy milk, add 1-2 eggs and oatmeal/whole wheat bread. Snack, around 10 a.m. an apple/a corn/half a cucumber. Lunch, a small bowl of rice/whole grains and some vegetables and fish. Snack, around 3 p.m. a small amount of fruit. Snack, immediately after training, 1 small banana. Dinner, a small bowl of rice/whole grains and lean meat/chicken breast and vegetables. This is just the basic recipe, a condensed version. Lin Ziyan also arranged various dishes for her. Sakai Otoha ate an egg in one gulp, then looked at Lin Ziyan's arrangement. Is it really good to eat so many meals a day? Eating 6 or more meals a day allows the body to digest food more efficiently, so that you can take in more protein and other important nutrients. Of course, each meal should be small. Eating every 3 hours can make your nutrient supply more stable and sufficient. This can also reduce the risk of body fat storage, encourage you to develop healthier eating habits, and allow you to take in more dietary fiber, fruits and vegetables, as well as protein and water. Lin Ziyan directly applied it to her yesterday's theory. I get fat even if I drink water, it has nothing to do with what I eat. Don't come on, do you think I don't know that you like to overeat? Look at this. Lin Ziyan casually took the family photo in the living room and pointed at the little loli in it and said, "Look at what you used to be like." I know Sakai Otoha knew that if she didn't want to be scolded, she had better be obedient. There is another question. Lin Ziyan put down the family photo and looked at her. How is your financial situation? Can you support it? The meat he ordered was mostly fish, shrimp, lean meat, and chicken breast. These were not expensive, but the expensive ones were a lot of fruits and vegetables. Most fruits and vegetables contain very few calories and starch, and are rich in fiber to fill the stomach. It is most suitable for people like Sakai Otoya who can't control their mouths. Eat fruits and vegetables when hungry. Only in this way can the results be maintained, otherwise Lin Ziyan will vomit blood if she eats them in 2 meals. No problem, Sakai Otoya said proudly, the money my parents left me is enough for me. Then I tell you, you can only eat according to the recipe I gave you. If I find that you have eaten other things, the first time you train twice, and the second time you fast for 1 day. Lin Ziyan took out another piece of paper. What about the third time? Sakai Otoya knew that she was asking for death, but she couldn't help asking. There will be no third time, Lin Ziyan said casually, without the anger that Sakai Otoya imagined. But this was even more terrifying to her, and she immediately trembled and said that she would never do it. Lin Ziyan didn't react to her statement. If he really believed her, something would happen. This is the training schedule, take a look. Lin Ziyan opened the paper, which was densely written with words, and the time of the day was fully arranged. Except for going to school, sleeping, and eating, the rest of the time is specifically arranged. What is this? Accompany you to practice boxing every day, Sakai Otoha asked, pointing to the end. Oh, it means literally, I beat you for half an hour every day. Lin Ziyan didn't try to hide it and explained it directly. Why should I be beaten by you? Sakai Otoha was not happy. I know you scold me for my own good and want to provoke my anger, but why do you beat me? Is it for my own good to beat me? Don't say it. The last project that Lin Ziyan decided was really for her good, not for his own pleasure. You should know that if a person suddenly exercises a lot of lactic acid will be produced, which will make the muscles sore and weak, and then the training the next day will not be guaranteed. Moreover, Sakai Otoha is facing a problem that she herself does not know about, that is, if she loses weight successfully in a short period of time, her skin will become loose, which will cause trouble when she reaches the stage of body shaping. He does not allow his work to have flaws. At the beginning, Chihiro Shigeki was enough to annoy him, and he will not make the same mistake again. Linzian did not simply beat her, but it was full of skills. After beating her, he could not only eliminate her fatigue, but also have many unspeakable benefits. He named it "Return My Pretty Fist." This kind of boxing is extremely skillful. Ordinary people can't learn it at all. Only he, who knows human organs and muscles so well, can do it. Using this kind of boxing is also a great burden for him. After all, he has to control the strength, otherwise what if he kills someone with one punch? You will know when you try it. Linzian did not explain, but just smiled indifferently. After explaining, Linzian left. He specifically told Sakai Otoha to buy all the things he listed, and to buy 3 days' worth of vegetables. After returning to school, Linzian became idle. Although the election of the president has been going on for a while, the heat has not subsided, but has become even stronger than the past few days. The whole class, and even the whole school, are paying attention to this matter. The class has also shown unprecedented unity because of Tsuji Tomi's matter. Now Tsuji Tomi is the star of the crowd wherever she goes. However, Linzian, who doesn't care about these things, naturally becomes the weirdo in the class. A fool who can only be in a daze. Many people say this about him behind his back, but Linzian is still indifferent, which seems a bit ridiculous to him. You are still so childish even though you are in high school. Before Linzian finished sighing, Gongzong Liwi mentioned it. Student Shigeki Aota, come to the teacher's office after school. Linzian had guessed this would happen. He had slipped away halfway through when Tianjin's Hifujiang was giving a speech. When he came back the next day, many people expressed dissatisfaction with him. Then Gongzong Liwi had no class the next day, and he slipped away again after school, which made Gongzong Liwi unable to find him. As for talking on the phone, Gongzong Liwi was sure that Linzian would make excuses for not seeing it, such as the phone was out of battery, the chat software was not opened, and so on. He could only be caught in front of the whole class. Gongzong Liwi had some experience in how to deal with Linzian. It was a pity that it was useless. Linzian was still the same. Why are you looking for me? If you have something to say, please tell me. I am in a hurry. He found a chair and sat down skillfully. It's nothing, it's just about the rumors about you in class recently. Gongzong Liwi called Linzian over this time not for any other reason, but because all the bad things about Linzian in the class recently reached her ears. This was exaggerated. Even she, the teacher, knew about it. You can imagine Linzian's situation in the class.